and founder of Hexo Change here. You can find out more about Hexo Change, which is basically an acronym for the Human Exponential Organization, a transformational practice supporting individuals and teams within startups, scale-ups, and corporations protect their culture and ensure it's aligned with nature's systems as it scales. So that's pretty much what Hexo Change is all about. What I'm looking to do is try and build more inclusivity into my writing. So as I release a blog, I'm looking to record live streaming to LinkedIn and to YouTube as I am right now. And then it also gives increased accessibility, both in terms of voice, of course, in terms of audio, and of course, in terms of speech. Hopefully that will help people if they maybe have different accessibility challenges. So hopefully this will add some value today to you. You can find all of the vlogs on my YouTube channel at Gary Turner Strategic Advisor. So let's get to it. This is a meaty topic, which I first wrote about on the 2nd of October 2021. But I then updated it the following day after some feedback from different people. So this blog, I'm not an expert. It's very much a personal blog around inner work as possible fuel to dismantling the patriarchy. And as I mentioned here, I'd received feedback on the 3rd of October 2021 from a number of people that helped me realize I had not been as succinct nor clear as to the context through which I composed this blog the previous day. In the spirit of working out loud, the context that I'm speaking through and to is I myself have and continue to benefit from the patriarchal systems that exist. I'm doing my best with this blog to share a blend of personal lived experience and work experience, including some of the ways that I suppressed acknowledging that over the years, and offer some questions through support of others to offer space and an invitation for deeper inquiry for my fellow man folks in particular, to sense into how they may benefit from the patriarchy and what we can do individually and collectively as men to reduce the systemic impact on other people. So the article was shared this morning. This article was shared this morning by my LinkedIn peer, Jackie, which was following the tragic murder of Sarah Everard in the UK and by a policeman. By breaking the silence about patriarchy, men can help end women's violence. Hence, that was really the fuel for me sharing this piece today. Let me just go back to my blog. So let's have a little look here. So the highlighted statement was, too often men don't challenge the systems that oppress women because they benefit from their complicity. So I wanted to share some of my own thoughts and reflections, all of which are from my own personal lived experience over 20 years working internationally, and as I continue to wake up from my innocent, disconnected slumber. For sure incomplete, but at least I'm making an offering today. So our hierarchies are built upon patriarchal ideology. Are we conscious of this? Are we conscious of our roles within the system? And again, I'm speaking directly to my fellow man folk. If we look at the fact that the top 10 richest people in the UK, as per an article which you can find at the blog, if you go to the written blog on hexochangenow.com, you'll be able to click through the hyperlink. We can see that a lot of men, and not just men, but men leading industries that are deeply extractive: mining, steel, finance. If we look at the top 10 earning CEOs of the FTSE 100, we find only one woman, who's Emma Walmsley, CEO of GlaxoSmithKline. If we look at the chemical industry of which I'm part, a deeply extractive and patriarchal-led industry in many ways, gender diversity and inclusion, and diversity more widely, is very much a bolt-on. It's a sticky plaster, to be honest, and not a strategic imperative from what I can observe. And then add in sustainability in the environment to boot, and the green and human washing is really complete. If we look at our own lives, who do we generally give more airtime to? Who do we go out of our way to lift up and support? Open question. So what, you may ask? So I'm curious if men suffer from a root cause of deep disconnection to themselves, disconnection to those around them, and disconnection to interconnected systems. And we're all part of, and indeed rely on to survive when considering planetary systems. This was certainly my personal experience across all the three areas. I'd also like to add that when some men do speak up, such as myself, which I have done in the past, Yeah, they can be silenced, as I was, and or sidelined. Yet that is often the only impact. Nothing more serious, unlike the impact that women and marginalized groups can experience on top of that. So I find it incredibly difficult to get my white, often cisgendered peers within and outside of the workplace to engage in any form of meaningful dialogue outside of banter and or getting the day job done. And that's still so true. To go deeper than surface really is a chore. And whilst I understand, more on that below, why this occurs, I cannot accept personally, not anymore, however, that this persists with the awareness that we all now have, especially over the last 18 months of the pandemic. So I understand, as 6 years ago, I too was afraid to feel, to go back to those past instances when I felt alone, bullied, oppressed, despite being in a loving relationship, have a good job, etc. To focus on anything but make more money, owning more things, progress more, was too painful for me. Fact. So much so that in my late teens, 20s, and even in early 30s, drink, drugs, and other unhealthy activities were my go-to release from having to feel meaningfully. I didn't want to do the inner work of healing and connection to myself. I didn't realize at the time that this is what I needed, to be honest. But through a range of coaching and development interventions, I progressively started getting out of my own way. What a privilege I had to be able to A, realize this, B, be able to pay to invest in piecing myself back together again, and C, be able to do this without the fear of risk of harm or loss of life. That should be loss, not lose. When I look around my friendship groups, my workplaces and spaces, global world leaders today, I see a generation of more scared children who just happen to be in privileged positions of power and influence. Yet that influence isn't being used in the most profound nor potentially game-changing way. I cannot accept today that people are not willing to do the inner work, especially those with decision-making, financial or political leverage today. Otherwise, they will perpetuate patriarchy consciously or unconsciously. Some reflections to hopefully inspire you, if you are one of my white male peers reading this, to go on an inner journey. You are highly likely not at risk of death if living in the West. You are highly likely able to afford to get some support with doing the inner work. You are highly likely to have the privilege of space and time to be able to invest in this inner work. Yes, it can be uncomfortable. Yes, it can be scary, but the freedom is so important. The freedom on the other side of doing the inner work is incredible. And I can assure you, you will want to make more inclusive, connected, conscious decisions as a result, which will over time help take down the patriarchy. Yes, you will practice and develop vulnerability. Yes, you will need to listen deeply and generatively. Yes, you will have to slow down. Completely counterintuitive. Yes, you will have to let go of a lot, including control. Yes, your attachment to and definition of success will highly likely change. Yes, you will start to feel more alive and whole. Yes, you will start sensing into the systemic nature and interconnection of all things, not always with comfort, but always with meaning. Yes, you will realize that time in nature and with those that do not look or sound like you will add a richness that you never dreamed of. The amazing thing is that all of this experience exists within you already. It's waiting to just show up. So these are some of the many realizations I've had and experienced firsthand over the last 6 years. When I look at some of the biggest and most perpetual challenges of our time, such as pay inequity, diversity, equity, inclusion, global disengagement at work, access to healthy food for all, access to technology, social injustice, all of these can be turned on a dime, literally, if we are focusing on doing the inner work individually and collectively, especially those in uber privileged positions of decision-making and influential power. I continue to wake up and learn about my role in stepping into healthy, regenerative, inclusive ways of being and doing, and so can you today. To be honest, to not do the inner work to contribute to your and all of our to not do the inner work is to contribute to your and all of our ongoing demise and suboptimal impact during this very short time on this blue orb that we all have. This is a reminder to myself also, and voicing this again is just like, it's painful but hopeful at the same time. I've written many times recently, both poems and blogs, as followed. Again, if you go to hexochangenow.com, you can find underneath the blog section all of the blogs that I'm recording. You might be able to hear Winnie, the cockapoo, who clearly wants some attention, who I'll go to in a minute, in case they can be of inspiration to you. What you'll also find on there is there's going to be a 3-day transformational retreat held in the UK across the 5th to the 7th of April 2022. And again, we will hold the human development space, again in Dorset in the UK, across the 20th and 21st of July 2022. So there's a couple of transformational events coming up again as we go into 2022. But I really hope you took some value from this. Again, it's the only reason I'm recording these live to YouTube, live to LinkedIn, is just to increase the accessibility, to make sure that I'm as inclusive as I possibly can be in terms of the different ways that we all like to learn. So again, please do subscribe at hexochange.com should you want updates on live events coming up, live stream conversations, any other content, blogs, etc. And I wish you a safe, enjoyable, whatever day you're at. It happens to be Saturday the 9th of October as I record this. But have a great morning, afternoon, evening, whatever you're doing, and much love and safety in your direction. Till next time, take care, and do check out hexochange.com.